Welcome to another edition of the Sports Lunatics. Who are the Sports Lunatics? We're just two regular guys who love sports history. I'm Shawn Lavigne in Halifax, Nova Scotia.
And I'm Howie Mooney here in Barrie, Ontario.
And on this edition of the Sports Lunatics, as you know, we tend to celebrate careers and a life when it has passed. And unfortunately, we have had a lot of Hall of Fame careers, players pass away, a lot of legends to their local markets, of some big brands, both north and south of the border over the last month, but none bigger than what we just suffered a few days ago with the loss of Chicago Bears legend, Hall of Famer extraordinaire, easily one of the top 10 players in football history, and that was Dick Butkus.
Unbelievable presence on the field. You watch video of him playing. He played with such an intensity, and the game was so different back then. He didn't just wrap guys up. He hit them to hurt them. He hit them to knock them out of a game. He would grab guys high and then throw them down in a way that's kind of illegal today. But my goodness, he played with intensity. And it was funny too, Shawn, looking at all the video of him since he passed away. The only time his uniform was ever clean was when they played on AstroTurf. You know, the rest of the time he was filthy. But you know what? That's how you knew he was in the game, because his uniform was just filthy.
For a player to only play 9 seasons, he made 8 Pro Bowls before he hurt his knee, and which ultimately ended his career. But the impact for a losing team, and we'll get into that, just incredible, the presence. And what made him so menacing, which really helped his brand, was NFL Films. When you saw, the slow motion hits, and even in slow motion, you cringe when you see the opposing running back or wide receiver, their bodies getting crumpled by this huge individual. Now, he was what, 6'2", 240. But for at that time, as you said, the game was so different. He revolutionized the middle linebacker position. And literally, guys in opposing teams, and we're talking Hall of Famers, were so intimidated and so scared to go across the middle or to go up the gut, because they know Dick Butkus is on the other side growling at them, just before the ball is snapped. And they knew they were in for a beating.
There was one incident that I saw on one of the videos. His teammate Doug Buffone got hammered by the Detroit Lions tight end, and whose name escapes me right now, but his teeth were all broken. And Butkus said, "How did that happen?" And he said, he got me. So Butkus was frothing at the mouth and just waiting for that guy to get a ball over the middle. And when he did, it was shoulder under the chin time, and that guy was laid out. And they interviewed him afterwards, and he said, I don't remember feeling anything. I don't remember feeling the hit. I don't remember feeling anything. But it was like, and he was just like, just out.
I loved his football life when they did a series of, did you do this? Did you do that? Did you do? Well, maybe, kind of. Did you hit somebody out of bounds? Well, possibly. Did you like curse at anybody? Did you call anybody an asshole? Maybe. And then they show the clip after a coin toss of doing the coin toss, then running back to their sideline going, asshole. That's who he was. He was hard-nosed till the end of his life.
There was one of the questions in that little series that you were talking about. One of the guys says, you realize that you're pretty mean in those films. And he says, what films are you talking about?
Well, in 1970, SI put him on the cover saying he was the meanest man in the NFL.
Yeah.
That explains everything. But that was part of that was part of who he was. That intimidation elevated his game because, again, it put his opponents, he was in their heads all the time, in a quarterback's head, in the center's head, in the running back's head, in a wide receiver. Like, you watch some of these clips, it wasn't just he was, would stop the run or sack the quarterback. He, at the time, held the NFL record, I believe, for interceptions for a
Yep.
linebacker and
Yep.
for fumble recoveries. Like, he was a turnover creator. And came away with the ball in most of those situations because he punished guys so much. They just couldn't hang on to the ball. Like, he was ferocious. You can come up with any verb and adjective you want for the guy, and it would apply on the football field in that era. And it transcended culturally. Like, he was known across entertainment circles. He was known on and off the football field, charity, you name it. Dick Butkus was Chicago football for many, many years.
That is the prevailing sentiment that's coming out of this week. It's that if you held a mirror up to Chicago, it would be Dick Butkus's face you'd see in that mirror. It was he was a South Side of Chicago guy. When he came in, he played at Illinois and joined the Bears. And when he did, the guy who was playing middle linebacker before him, who was an All-Pro, Bill George, looked at him and said, well, I guess I'm done. That's how formidable Dick Butkus was right out of college. You look at the middle linebackers that the Bears had over that span of time: Bill George, Dick Butkus, Mike Singletary, Brian Urlacher. We're talking about all pros, boom, 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 one after the other. Just incredible. And then you also consider, and you talked about it earlier, that Butkus also played at the same time with Gale Sayers on offense. And yet they could not win. They could not win because they never got a quarterback.
I think the record was something like 45 or 48 and 74, something like that, and a few ties.
Yeah.
Over that period. Of course, Gale Sayers blew his knee out.
Yeah.
Was never the same runner. Bupkis at the end, unfortunately, had a serious knee injury. Actually got a second one done on his other leg to prevent sort of what he just went through. But he was never the same player and had to retire in 1974. Made it, of course, first ballot Hall of Famer. But what can you say about the guy? Like, his presence, even up until a month ago, Howie, he was at Soldier Field.
Yeah.
And, there was a great report, WGN News did a sit-down interview with him, sort of going over his career retrospective. And, he always loved the Bears. He was always passionate for the Bears, was hilarious on Twitter with some of his comments. A lot of people didn't realize it was him.
Yeah, they thought it was somebody else.
Got verified. But he said, like, that was something he loved to do. And even his, one of his last ones a month ago were essentially, let me slap on the pads and get out there type of thing. He was a hardcore, hard-nosed individual with a heart of gold. That's prevailing.
Yes.
Sentiment.
Well, one of his last appearances in Chicago was a barbecue for charity. He was getting close to 80. But one of his last tweets as well was something like, yeah, I may be retired, but I can still yell at my TV. And, just the spirit that he had and the I want to say enthusiasm, but it's more than enthusiasm. It's like a channeled intensity that he played with. It was just, you want to see players play with that kind of attitude, but, you worry that the way that he hit guys, I'm surprised he lasted 9 years.
Well, you could never get away with what he got away with, or a lot of players got away with in that era, in the 60s and early 70s. Just the way they hit guys over the middle, literally trying to decapitate somebody.
And the way that they hit guys, they get guys and not only hit them on the field. They'd hit them out of bounds, like you were talking about earlier. There were things that they could do back then that it was just part of the game, but you could never do it today.
And then he became a huge pitch man. The Miller Lite commercials I've seen this week, him and Bubba Smith were hysterical. He was, and the movies, if you go and check his movie credits and TV appearances, I didn't realize how many movies and how many TV shows he was in. He was really good at what he did, and he was. People were engaged. They loved seeing Dick Butkus, on the small screen. And I totally forgot that in Rocky they called Rocky's dog Butkus, which he thought was a great compliment as well. So, like I said, he transcended just the football field. He was in sports entertainment. He was an icon, really, when you think about it. And he was showered with praise right after, and ironically, the Bears, who were on the verge of losing their 17th straight game, come out and were just phenomenal. And their defense was just incredible against the Washington Commanders. And, it's on the night, a few hours after the passing of a Bears legend.
Was he in The Longest Yard as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's one of the best football movies that I can think of. And he comes over. What did he say? We're going to give you guys the ball first. Right. Because he was just salivating at hitting them. You're the home team, so we're going to give you the ball first.
That's the one thing with him. He could play that stereotype. Right?
Oh, yeah.
And he was okay with it. He made millions of dollars off of that intensity.
Well, it's good that he did, because he didn't make much money playing football.
No. And actually, I read earlier that when he had his knee injury, he actually sued the Bears in terms of trying to get money because of his knee injury and the treatment of his knee and the issues he was having. But Dick Butkus passing away at the age of 80. Wow, what can you say about the guy? You go through all the documentaries and like I said, the NFL films. He almost created a new industry for the NFL with all their hits videos and packages, and he was a dream to watch. In terms of that, because we up here in Canada, we had the Don Cherry Rock'em Sock'em hockey with the huge body checks and whatnot. In the United States, it was NFL films and seeing those classic highlights. And like I said, you see these bodies of men getting crumpled by number 51.
There's a guy that I follow on Twitter, Upton Bell. Upton's father was Bert Bell, who was the first commissioner of the NFL. And Upton has worked in different levels, from ball boy to assistant general manager to he was part owner in I think it was the World Football League or the USFL. But he put out a tweet last night, and it said, "I can tell you from watching every NFL player from 1946 through today that Dick Butkus, Jim Brown, Gale Sayers, Lenny Moore, Johnny Unitas, and many more, they were the game. They were the ones who endured small paychecks and devastating injuries. God bless them all." That's if you don't follow Upton Bell on Twitter or X or Air Canada Center or whatever it's called today, follow him. He's at Upton Bell. Great follow. If you love football, if you love sports, if you love everything, life, everything, he'll tweet about it. He's great.
Well, and that's the thing, and that's why we do the show that we do. We kind of educate people, especially younger listeners and viewers of sports today, that a lot of these guys, we talk about it almost every show. They had day jobs, or they had jobs in the summer or the winter, depending on the sport and the timing of it, to feed their families. It was not easy. They did not have the insurance coverage. They did not have the medical coverage. They didn't have the endorsement money. they would get endorsements, but it wasn't like it is today.
No,
I just saw recently where Michael Jordan, it's like $3 billion. Like,
he's the first athlete to be on the Forbes list, isn't he?
it's incredible. Um, so it was such a different time. Football was so different too, in terms of it was smash mouth, run it down, like it was about the running game and, hard tackling. Uh, it was survival. And I know that sounds really crazy, but it was to some of these guys
I know that nobody likes to talk about bounties or anything like that, but they were playing
all the time.
to hurt the other guy, to hurt the quarterback, to hurt the running back, to hurt the receiver. They were playing to hurt. And I mean, go on YouTube. If you haven't seen Dick Butkus play before, go on YouTube, type Dick Butkus into YouTube and just watch, and your mouth will be open if you've never seen him play before, because it's just incredible.
In 1985, the Butkus Award was given to the best middle linebacker in college football, and which was rightly named. But that's what I mean. He is one of the most recognizable names in football history. I was a big Lawrence Taylor fan. I loved LT. He transcended the game after Dick Butkus. Not that he was a middle linebacker. It was just that he went all over the place.
Well, and Butkus did too, because you referenced his interceptions earlier, and his fumble recoveries, and fumble and takeaways, like just knock the ball out of the guy's hand. He would hit guys with the intention to hurt, and two, to separate that player from the ball, and that was his game. And one of the things last night that I watched said that he could run from sideline to sideline faster than any other linebacker in the league at that time. And you said he revolutionized the position. A lot of people give credit to Lawrence Taylor for doing that, but Butkus was Lawrence Taylor before Lawrence Taylor.
Absolutely. Another sad loss in the sports world, Howie. We just found out that he was even ill, and we can, it was sad how that happened too.
Yes,
but
yeah.
We lost Tim Wakefield, one of the last, maybe the last great knuckleball pitcher that we've ever seen, passing away at 57 due to brain cancer. Tragic ending of a wonderful baseball life. And I was doing some research, Howie, and you and I watched videos, and we were talking before we went and did this show. You forget, what a great start to his career he had, but then had his struggles, thought his baseball career was over, and then got rejuvenated in Boston with the Red Sox giving them another chance, and then had Phil and Joe Niekro sort of educate him about the knuckleball and how to throw it perfectly and where to place it and to frustrate hitters and get it into hitters' heads. And he had such a solid career, a staple of that world championship team that ended that long, long drought in Red Sox history. Of course, was part of that, giving up the home run to Aaron Boone. Like he certainly had quite interesting, incredible baseball life, and we lost Tim Wakefield just this past week.
His career was just such a roller coaster, up and down and up and down. And I don't mean from the pros to the minors. I mean from highs and lows and highs and lows. You talked about the fact that he thought his career was over. He grew up playing first base and being a slugger. And he got to a level where he couldn't do that anymore. And he thought he was out of baseball. And then he was in the Pittsburgh organization. And somebody said, told one of the scouts or one of the coach, the roving coaches, roving instructors, take a look at his his knuckleball. Take a look at his knuckleball. And so they did, and they thought he's got a pretty good knuckleball. They brought him into pitch one time. He was playing second, and they brought him into pitch, and he thought, well, okay, they want me to pitch. So he was throwing fastballs and curveballs. And when he got to the dugout afterwards, they said, what are you doing? He says, you wanted me to pitch. Yeah, we wanted you to throw the knuckleball. So he started throwing the knuckleball almost exclusively. And He confounded guys, confounded hitters, and moved his way right up to the Pirates, and then lost his effectiveness after a couple of seasons, and thought he was out of baseball again, and he was let go, and he kind of floated around, went home back to Melbourne, Florida, and the Red Sox said, we'd be interested in you. And what we're going to do is we're going to set you up, as you said, with Phil and Joe Niekro, and they're gonna show you how to get it in your head that you are a knuckleballer and you're a good knuckleballer. And they did. They basically took him under their wing, and they told him, you are a knuckleballer. You're throwing the knuckleball. It's your life now. It's not just a pitch. It's your life now. You're going to throw it on every pitch, and you're going to understand it. You're going to become one with the knuckleball almost. It was almost like when you can snatch the pebble from my hand, it's time for you to leave, kind of thing. But then as you said, 2003 gave up that home run to Aaron freaking Boone. And his middle name is not freaking in Boston, but you know what I'm saying. And you do it so marvelously. I got to tell you that, darling. But then 2004, he came back after that terrible low, and they won the first World Series that a Boston Red Sox team had won in 47 centuries. And it was they got the curse of the babe off their backs, and they won another one. And but with all of that, his story is not complete without talking about his philanthropic gestures and overtures to kids that did not have all the gifts that other kids have. And he said that there was a center for kids, for those kids in his hometown. And he said they were down to their last $12.50 in their checking account. And he held a golf tournament to raise money for that center. And he did it every year, and gave not only to the kids in his hometown, but he set up one in Boston as well. And when I think of all the good things that he did off the field, he was nominated for the Roberto Clemente Award as an outstanding man off the field. I think it was 8 times, and then he finally won it. And he said, "This is the greatest thing, the greatest honor I've ever had. Doesn't matter all the other stuff I've done in baseball. This is the greatest thing, or the greatest honor I've ever been given." And when I think of that, and when I think of him passing away way too young, it's you can hear my voice. I'm starting to get emotional about it. But just watching the videos of him last night, and thinking what a good person he was. Just terribly sad for him to have to go this way.
Absolutely, and that was great synopsis of his career, and that was the thing. And what struck me with one of the videos about his career, when he was talking about his charity work, was the fact that former Blue Jay and Red Sox manager Jimmy Williams essentially talked about, you want to be remembered for your character when this game is done.
Yeah.
And he really took that to heart. And as you said, did all this charity work, and it culminated with the Clemente Award, which players hold in high regard because of their charity work and what they've done off the field just as much as what they've done on the field. You saw it all week, and it was heartbreaking because, again, it was tragic. The way it came out was awful.
Yeah.
We're not going to get into it too much, but everybody, I think, knows the story who have followed it. It was supposed to be private. It became public. And then, of course, we lost Tim Wakefield just a few days after. It was awful. His teammates from that team that you said were just crushed. Many, the sentiments,
Jason
Terry
Varitek,
Francona was the manager.
Yeah.
He said it was like a gut punch. Jason Varitek, who was very close to Wakefield, was almost inconsolable when he was being interviewed. It was just awful. But it also, as you said, just pointed to the man and how much he touched people and his teammates. And, he was a broadcaster as well. He was the one thing, and we're Blue Jay fans, but we're also baseball fans. I hated when Wakefield was going to pitch against the Jays because you knew it was going to be a tough night. for the Blue Jays. And you didn't, and that's the one thing with the knuckleball. We always talk about knuckleballs, and I don't know what it was like when you grew up and you played competitive ball in the Ottawa area, but everybody wanted to throw a knuckleball.
Well,
It
even
was just something that
Wakefield said in an interview, he says, I only threw it to fool around. I wanted the other guy to miss it and hit him in the knee and make him limp around for a while.
right, but it's
Why he
true. Like
threw it.
even and we've talked about it. You played competitive hardball. I played competitive fastball. No matter what, we always wanted to throw a knuckleball. Like if you could throw a perfect knuckleball, you were like, I could pitch. I might get a chance to pitch in a game. And every guy, I used to play on teams, and we'd practice just as much on throwing knuckleballs than we would on our fielding or hitting. Thinking we'd get that one chance to go into a game, which never happened, by the way. But it was just always something that you're always fascinated. There was a great documentary on the knuckleball with some of the legendary guys, Negro Brothers and Wakefield, and talking about the art of the knuckleball and just its importance to the game. Charlie Huff,
Yes.
there's a guy that pitched, I think, almost a 50. Wakefield pitched to 46. It was it's something. It was an incredible art that we really don't see. It was great. One of the Pittsburgh pitchers the day after his passing, and the name escapes me, and I'm sorry, but actually threw a knuckleball pitch in tribute to Tim Wakefield. I thought, wow, that was awesome, and surprising that we don't see more knuckleball pitchers last in the league anymore. Don't you think, Howie?
Well, I think part of it is the analytics, the numbers, all the numbers that are taking a lot of the fun out of the game. They're taking a lot of the heart out of the game. But you're right when you were talking about everybody threw a knuckleball. When you're warming up and you throw for 10 minutes and your arm's nice and loose, and then you start throwing knuckleballs to the other guy, hoping he misses it and it hits him in the head or something. And you're just out there having stupid fun. That's all. But yeah, that's what Wakefield was doing when he just started playing with the knuckleball when he was younger. Playing in minor league ball and playing in college. He'd just be throwing the knuckleball just to try to hit the other guy in the leg and make him limp around. And they could all point and laugh. And that was, it was something that to me, it's one of those universal things. It's just, we all did it because we're all idiots, and we all just want to be stupid and just have fun, and that's what playing a game, playing a sport is all about. And I think part of the, everybody wants velocity now. Everybody wants a guy that throws 99, 100, 103, and the knuckleball is going the way of the dodo bird. It's becoming one of those things that it doesn't impress the numbers people. And so if it doesn't impress the numbers people, then it's not something we can use. And it makes me, all of that stuff makes me sad. I believe in using information. Analytics is information. Use information to allow you to make decisions on the game. I mean, a few years ago, we saw Kevin Cash take out Blake Snell, when he was pitching a gem in a playoff game, and it just angered everybody. This past week, we saw John Schneider take out Jose Barrios, in the fourth inning after 47 pitches, and he was dealing because of analytics. It's like you saw what he was.
Let's tie this back into Wakefield, though, because in one of the crucial games in the playoffs, that game where Ortiz hit the game-winning home run when they were down 3-0 in the series, they had to win. He pitched 3 scoreless innings to get them to that point.
Yes.
Because in extra innings. But that was the beauty of a knuckleball pitcher, is that he could go in, we talk about now where everybody's on a solid pitch count or an innings count.
Yeah.
That was the beauty of a knuckleballer. They could bring him back in 2 days, to start a game if they needed to.
And they did.
That's what I mean. Like, it's a lost art. And Tim Wakefield was a beautiful pitcher to watch. You had no idea where the ball was going. And you'd always get that behind the view camera, behind the catcher and the umpire, and you'd see the rotation and just the dance.
Yeah.
Like, it was awesome to watch. Whether you like Tim Wakefield, whether you like the Red Sox or not, it every time he pitched, you wanted to watch and see what he did.
Go watch. There's a number of videos out there on Tim Wakefield and on his life. Go out and take a look at one of them, and you'll have such a respect for him. It makes you realize the way that his career went up and down and up and down and up and down. It makes you realize that these guys are just human beings. They're just people, and they have to roll with the punches. And baseball is a hard life. If you're stuck in the minors, it's not an easy life. People talk about the glory of playing pro sports and everything like that. His first contract with Pittsburgh, he played in Watertown, New York. He was making $700 a month. $700 a month. He had to split a room with three guys. There were three single beds in a room. And when his parents came up to visit him, his mother saw where he was staying and she cried. She cried. She says, "Come back home. This is not worth it." Playing in the minors is not an easy life. Getting up to the majors, yeah, it's wonderful. And playing as long as he did, it's fantastic. It's wonderful. But you pay for it all your way up until you get there. And that's what baseball and sports basically in the minors is all about.
That's a great way to put it, Howie, because it's like rock music and rock stars. Everybody thinks they're an overnight success. Well, it only took them 10 to 15 years to get there, and
Yeah.
sleeping, literally in their car or rat infested places, just to
Yeah. And
survive.
for every act that gets a number one hit, how many people are toiling in little bars, all over North America, all over the world, just trying to get a chance.
Yeah, absolutely. Howie, we're running out of time here for this segment of the Sports Lunatics, but you have some incredible, exciting news. We've been waiting for this news, and
Oh,
now it's finally happened. Tell us what's going on in your world.
well, my first book, Crazy Days and Wild Nights, was just a wonderful, wonderful little ride. And the sequel to it, More Crazy Days and Wild Nights, is now out on Amazon. It came out this morning. At least when we're recording this, it came out this morning. It's on Amazon. More Crazy Days and Wild Nights, 11 different stories about outlandish things that have happened in the world of sport over the last 50 years. The first chapter is about Frank Beaton. And if you don't know who Frank Beaton is, he was the first professional hockey player ever to be arrested during a game. I'll leave it at that. But yeah, go out, check it out on Amazon. More Crazy Days and Wild Nights. You'll love it. I hope you love it anyway. I hope you enjoy it.
Well, we'll put all the information on the sportslunatics.com and a link to Howie's book on Amazon and where you can purchase it. Huge success on the first book. Buy both. Christmas is coming.
You're absolutely right. Thank you.
I would suggest definitely you purchase both. They're a great gift under the tree. Stay tuned also. Check out the YouTube channel, and we will have our bonus show as we look back on some more lives and careers lost this past month that have affected both Howie and I. But this was a great show reflecting back on the life and times of Dick Butkus. I always screw that name up. We'll try this again. The legendary Dick Butkus and Tim Wakefield, who we lost tragically this past week. That's the perfect way to end this edition of the Sports Lunatic. I'm Shawn Lavigne in Halifax, Nova Scotia.
And I'm Howie Mooney here in Barrie, Ontario.
And please, thank you and have a great sports day.